Hey guys, so here bringing you another video and welcome to another dev update. I love doing these and hopefully you guys enjoy me doing them, and if you do, please do throw a like on the video. But basically every now and then Riot do articles about certain topics that are usually quite big talking points within the community, and this time it is all about tackling AFKs in League. So again, if you don't know what the abbreviation of AFK means, it means away from keyboard. Technically, someone doesn't have to be actually away from their keyboard, it's just if they leave the game, you know, they don't have to leave their computer, but in essence, they have left their keyboard in the game of League of Legends that they're currently in. So they are doing new changes to reduce the frequencies, which could be like a new punishment system and stuff like that. So this is going to be quite interesting. Obviously, it goes without saying, I think all of us, unless you are somebody that AFKs quite a lot, we want less AFKs to happen. AFKs genuinely ruin games. Just as much as an inter does, like an inter runs it down and causes you basically an automatic loss, an AFK is much of the same. Yes, they're not inting, but they are making you lose. Like, yes, sure, I have won a few 4v5s in League of Legends. I've played the game for 10 years, and I've won a handful of them. They are very rare. So it'll be interesting to see what Riot's approach is here. So, and probably the best Riot name ever is Barack Probama, and Tim Tam Monster, which I presume he's Australian, is the design and product leads for League Behavioural Systems team. We know that AFKs and leavers are some of the most disruptive behaviours you face, so we're happy to be coming to you today with an update around AFK and leaver punishments, which we talked about last April before temporarily tunneling on a queue dodging type thing. So, on a small note for the rest of the article, we'll be referring to the combination of AFK, idle behaviour, and leaving, intentional otherwise, just all-encompassing as AFK. So if someone is leaving the game, or, you know, they don't leave the game, but their character is just standing still on the screen, they are AFK. Our approach to reducing the frequency of AFK in games has been few prongs. 1. Add additional tiers to our penalty structure so that players who continue to AFK or leave incur new punishments. 2. Add a new penalty type to shield players from repeated offenders. So we've all had it that you're like, dude, I've had 3 AFKs in my last 3 games. So maybe they're going to look at those cases of people that, you know, have had too many people who AFKing in their games and purposely give people who don't ever AFK. I don't know how they'll do that. And then 3, improve the way we evaluate attempts to reform in our games. So again, League is a pretty toxic game. It has felt, I don't know, over the past couple of years that Riot hasn't really been trying to do behavioral changes, and it's obviously lovely to see this type of article that they are trying to do something about it, but yeah, we'll see how much we like, let's just say. So, the new penalty type. So, up until now, we have penalised AFKing with queue delays, which, again, a lot of people said isn't really a punishment. A lot of people that are AFKing, well, as a general encompassing thing that I would say, and I think a lot of the player base may or may not agree, let me know what you think. Toxic individuals in League, whether it be through AFKing or behaviour in chat, it being toxic by typing, are usually the most addicted players, believe it or not. Even the ones that AFK are usually the people that we're playing 10 hours a day, because they are so impatient with a game, they'll leave it just to get into the next one quicker. That, I think, is the ideology that a lot of them have. So it's not really a punishment when these most addicted players are the players that are most likely to have several accounts. So queue delays aren't really a big punishment. Queue delays are a speed bump on an offending player's way to the next games. Upon clicking the play button, the queue blocks them behind a short timer, so you know, the 5 minute or the half an hour, whatever it may be. The purpose of this is to change the behavior, so it's designed to hopefully give that player a little bit of self-reflection time. If they've AFK'd in a game, they should know it's bad, but they might not reflect upon it until they click play again, and boom, you're not allowed to queue up. You AFK'd in the last game, wait 5 minutes and think what you've done. Obviously, most people that are big AFKing players probably don't think about what they've done, but some might. If someone who goes AFK gets to experience what they have wasted, so that is it. Like, they've wasted other players' time, so Riot is technically wasting their time. They are less likely to perpetrate it again in the future. For most folks, queue delays work well, but about 9% of our players worldwide engage in consistent AFK behaviour and don't seem to be deterred by a few delays between the games. If you think of it, 9%. if we do go off the latest, the statistic that we have for League of Legends, which, to be fair, is very old. They've not given us an updated number in quite some time, but it was 100 million monthly players. That means close to 9 million players a month are consistently going AFK. Obviously, there are more AFKs than 9%, but 9% of the player base are the worst AFKers. They are doing it all the time. They're the ones that first blood happens, they leave. Like, that is the type of behavior that Riot's talking about, and that's 9% of the player base. That's quite a lot. So then there's this graph. What the hell? So I'm guessing leave a tier 0 is you never leave. So 82% of the player base never leaves games. Like, they just are normal. And then 5.5% of the player base has left every now and then. So they have that 5-minute delay or something. So there's less in tier 2 than there is in tier 3. Really? Wait, let me get the calculator up. I know, like, maybe I shouldn't do this mid-video, but I'm actually just kind of interested. So, wait. So, 82 plus 9 plus 5.5. So that leaves 3.5% is leaver tier 2. So there are also less tier 2 leavers than there are tier 1 leavers. So you're either a casual AFKer in tier 1, or you're more likely to be an extreme AFKer by this data, which is a bit weird. For players who continue to AFK, we are introducing a new penalty, Q Lockouts, which are basically like mega delays. It's like Pokemon, Mega Revolving. When a player experiences a Q Lockout, they will have a pop-up displayed explaining their punishment, and will be unable to start games in MOBA queues. When issued a queue lockout, we're not saying, hey, doesn't it suck you have your time wasted? We're removing the player from the population for a while, so they can't continue to AFK in games. Once queue lockout does expire, it's followed by a maximum level queue delay, so that we can still maintain the benefits of behavior modification, and players who take a break don't get to sit out the entire punishment. Queue lockouts apply to all MOBA queues, so normal games, ARAM, Summoner's Rift, Ranked Normal, everything. Everything counts. The only thing they're saying, MOBA, you can still play TFT. There you go. An important note is that any player that is currently at a very high tier will be reset to tier 3. They will get a chance to reform before queue lockouts begin. The table shows the news. So, for most of us, we're in this. We don't go AFK at all. So remember, this isn't for dodging. Like, this isn't that, you're in Champion Select and you leave in Champion Select. That's dodging. This is AFKing. You're in a game of League and you leave a game of League and the system detects that you've left, lever buster ensues, you get a punishment for leaving the game. Like when someone leaves on the enemy team or like on your team, there's that new kind of feature that you lose less LP. It's usually 1 or 2 less LP for the loss, but at least it's something. This is this. These are for these people that are going AFK when they're in a game of League of Legends. For most of us, we never go AFK. This is us. We're on tier 0, nothing at all. If you get tier 1, you don't get any queue lockout. So this is, let's say, if you leave one game of League, just randomly, like, it's happened to me in some unfortunate circumstances that I've left 2 or 3 games over the 10 years that I've played League, and 2 of them were actually for family members that were involved in car accidents, 2 separate occasions. So I actually had to leave the game to go help with that. So this would probably be that. You leave the game, it detects you've left, so for your next game, you get a queue delay for 5 minutes for 5 games. So for your next 5 games of rank that you play, you'll click play and be like, yo, you're going to wait 5 minutes because you went AFK, you wasted, maybe because it's going off like the average game is 25 minutes, so it's actually giving you here 25 minutes worth of delays adding up. I'm okay with that. So for most people, the odd AFK, again, as I said, I've probably gone AFK 3 roughly times in 10 years of playing. You shouldn't really go AFK, obviously, as a normal, not toxic player in League. For this just to be the first punishment, I think is fine. The vast majority of us are never even going to get this, so that's fine. Then you go up to the next one. So if you get to tier 2, obviously this means that you're AFKing more regularly. You're going to get, promoted, let's say, as a AFK punishment. You're then going to have a 10-minute queue time extra for 5 games. So suddenly a 50-minute delay. And that, by the way, is after you've done this one. So you're still doing this one. You continue to go AFK a lot. So then you get promoted to this one. So that's the thing to make the point clear. If you do this one and then never go AFK again, you'll go back to tier 0. Like, it's fine. This only happens, this only keeps progressing if you keep going AFK. That's the point. So the next one is 10 minutes for 5 games. Tier 3 is 15 minutes for 5 games, so you are starting to get into quite a big, you know, portion there. That 15-minute delay for a lot of people, you know, a lot of people don't have hours and hours and hours to play video games every single day. You might have a 2-hour window to play video games, I'd say maybe the average person has, if that, maybe an hour. So when suddenly, if you have an hour or 2 hours to play video games a day, 15 minutes each game, if you're trying to play 2 games of League, that's just half an hour that you cannot play because you've been going AFK. That is quite significant. And now into the new tiers is if you have gone through all of this punishment and you still haven't reformed, you're still going AFK after someone got killed on your team or you got first blooded, so you just leave the game. Screw this, I'm out. Firstly, I would say maybe League of Legends is probably not for you at that point. But if you continued AFK, these are the new tiers. So, Tier 4, you get a queue lockout for 1 day. So in essence, you are banned, like that. Maybe that's the language that they should actually use. You are banned from the playing League for 1 day, and you still, when you actually get to play games, have a 15-minute queue time when you do click that button. They are trying to basically drive the point home. Stop doing it. You know, we've banned you for 1 day, and now, okay, you're back, you can play. You're still got to wait 15 minutes between each game to calm down, to think about what you've done, whatever it may be. So there's that. If by that point, you're still going AFK, the queue delay is the same, but then it's 3 days, then it's 7 days, and then it's 14 days. Now, some people may be confused, by the way. Isn't this what they've always had? No. They've always had this roughly for toxic behavior. So if someone is toxic in chat, they're typing very toxic things, this is roughly the system that they have in place. The 1 day ban, the 3 day ban, the 7 day ban, the 14 day ban, and I believe after 14 days, it's then a permanent ban. They haven't added permanent ban, I will say, like tier 8 permanent ban. They haven't added that, so maybe that is something that people would probably want. If you're at tier 7, you've had a 2-week ban, you're still being 15-minute wait. If you're still doing it at this point, maybe you should just get permanent at that point, maybe. But basically what they're doing is they're taking the toxic system of banning people, of the tiered toxic system, and they're applying it now to AFKing. So that's what they're doing. They're taking AFKing more seriously because it does make people's games worse. I remember having a couple AFKing people, I'm sure we've all had it, that you look up the person's op.gg profile and guess what? They were serial AFKing the whole day. Every single game in their match history was leaving. Every single one. And some people have had experiments in League that they make a smurf and they do an inting smurf that they int in every game and they see how many games it takes to get banned. Or they've done AFKing smurfs, some of which are purposely done, by the way, to tank their LP, and then toxic streamers get that tanked LP account because they AFK'd in every game, and then they use that for a climbing series that makes them look really good. That is also quite a common thing. And because there was actually no penalty for that back in the day, like a bad one, you could do it. Well, with this, in theory, you can't really get away with doing that anymore because your account will just get the queue lockout and you can't even play. Again, I do think maybe tier 8 should have existed for a permanent ban for AFKing. Like, you should just be able to get permabanned if you are constantly AFKing, and even a 14... Like, remember, if you add all this up, firstly, you get a 1 day ban, then a 3 day ban, then a 7 day ban. So there's 10 days right there worth of bans. After you've been banned 10 days, then you'll get a 14 day. So to get to potentially even tier 8, you would need to be banned 34 days, then be permed. I think that is plenty of time for the player to think and reform if they wanted to, that maybe there could be a tier 8 permaban. Anyway, let's see. Evaluating behaviour. One challenge we discovered in our existing system was that once a player had reached a high penalty tier, it was very difficult for them to lower it, even through repeated demonstrations of good behaviour. We've moved to a more sophisticated model that looks at multiple factors and will be much more effective in moving reformed players down the tiers than the previous ones. That said, consistently AFKing will still be detected and consistent offenders will still be donked, so put down in the tiers. These changes enable us to create queue lockouts, since it means that we have a higher certainty that a player at a high AFK tier is actually being consistently disruptive and isn't stuck there for other reasons, like intermittent connectivity issues, which can be particularly common in some regions. So yeah, like some people say, like, oh, well, my bad internet. Obviously, it does suck if you have bad internet, and I sympathize. I used to, like, just before I was a content creator, like if I had my old internet before I was a content creator, I wouldn't have been able to be a YouTuber streamer. I had terrible internet, but I wasn't a ranked player when I had terrible internet. I knew I couldn't be a ranked player in games when I had terrible internet because that would be unfair. Like, it would suck for me and it would suck for my team. So I never was I just wasn't. So maybe that's somewhat the approach some people do need to take, unfortunately. And then looking forward, after this is rolled out, we are committed to continue to monitor AFKs in both regards to frequency of this behaviour and regional specific connectivity issues. We want to ensure we are being basically equal across all regions who may experience different levels of connectivity. To be safe, we're going to start by testing these changes in a few regions before rolling them out globally, keeping an eye on it, patch notes and status updates, etc. This is not the final word of AFKing. AFKs, we're working across teams on gameplays to address some of the root causes that are not enough ability to come back from behind. So some people are, this is pointless, I'm leaving the game. Inability to deal with other disruptive behavior in the game, which a lot of people may find, your team is being typey toxic to you, and you're like, screw this, I don't want to play with these typey toxic people, leave the game. Obviously, you can just mute the people, and I do think Riot does need to take typing toxicity, etc., more seriously. Even inting behavior, I think, needs to be taken more seriously. And a topic that we've mentioned before, soft inting, they need to take more seriously. A player who is purposely trying to lose you the game, but doing it in a sneaky way, that they're not going 0 and 10, they're accidentally, they're farming in top lane permanently, which might be a terrible thing to do in the game, and they're like purposely overextending to die. Like, they're doing it in a way that won't be detected by an automatic bot system, basically. That is called soft inting, and Riot has acknowledged it does exist. It especially exists the higher rating you go. It happens a lot in cases where, let's say, you're in Challenger, and yes, toxic behavior does happen in Challenger, because when you're a Challenger player, a lot of the time you can just get back to Challenger, right? So getting an account banned for toxic behavior isn't the worst thing for these players. But a lot of these players, they play with each other all the time, and some of them do not like each other. So it happens a lot that players will soft into each other in Master and above if they have a certain player on their team. So that is quite common. And then connectivity challenges as well. So it is good, I will say, that Riot has, kind of said, yes, we completely acknowledge that some of the AFKing problem that people have is the connection. They have good intent. They don't want to AFK. They don't want to leave games, but obviously connectivity problems do exist, and maybe a tool needs to be had of, within the client, a ping test feature before you play a game of League. You can click a button. How is my connection doing? It's stable. Go and play. It's not stable. Maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe that would be something worth considering. But yeah, obviously it goes without saying, like, if you have bad internet, it's up to you whether you join a game. And obviously if you join a game knowing you have bad internet, you probably should expect some form of punishment. Not in just League, in most games for AFKing, there's something. If you're playing World of Warcraft and you AFK in a raid or a dungeon, they're going to kick you from it, right? They just are. So there usually is punishments in things for when you're not actively playing the game that you're supposed to be playing. So overall, I think it's good that they at least are mentioning the topic of AFKing and they're talking about the topic of AFKing. The only thing that I would, again, add is looking at what causes AFKing is definitely the next step. The disruptive behavior that causes it. Some people, yes, they just are serial AFKers. They just go AFK at any moment. Their mental just can't handle a rough game of League, so they leave the game. Alt F4, bye-bye, it's out of my mind. Those people probably you can't help to a certain degree, But for the people that are AFKing because of other behavior, you would limit their AFKing if you kind of go for the cause of the that behavior. And you know, I'm not trying to defend those AFKs. They're still terrible. They're still toxic individuals for AFKing regardless. Because, you know, if someone is being toxic, just mute them. You know, you can. And it's not an answer. Yes, it's a band-aid problem to the solution. But AFKing from a toxic environment game, when you can just mute them, is also not the answer. Continue playing the game. You're just going to get punished yourself. That's the point. So I think it's good. I do think potentially adding 8 tier for people that are proper AFKers right now, like in theory, they're looking at this going, okay, so every now and then I won't be able to play a league, but at least my account's fine. You know, if they own 500 skins and they're really addicted to the game, well, that their account is still safe within this. If tier 8 was in, that was, if you have done all of this and you're still going AFK and you're still not reforming at all, because again, they are giving hope to toxic players that, you know, some toxic players have always said, you know, my honor level reset and it's so hard for me, you know, I've reformed, it's so hard for me to get the honor level back. Riot is saying with this system, if you do reform, you will go very quickly back down the tiers. You know, we do want to reward you for reforming. So if you are something that AFK is right now, don't AFK. You are going to be rewarded for not AFKing. And remember here, they are putting everybody at tier 3 who is at the higher tiers right now, roughly. But I do think having tier 8 permaban may have sent the message even clearer to those that are like, oh, I'm going to still do it anyway. Or, you know, whatever. They can't help themselves in some way. Because maybe that is the ultimate of someone that, you know, let's be honest, AFKing means they don't want to play the match. Like, they don't want to play the game. So if they're doing it so much, they get down to tier 8, then maybe their account just should be banned. Because clearly they don't want to play. But anyway, that is going to be it. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know what you think of all your thoughts. You know, do you think this covers everything? Or do you agree, like me, there should be the permaban tier as well? Let me know in the comments. If you can like the video, that'd be awesome. Subscribe, click the ding on the bell and turn notifications on as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order.